Can't be just letting me do this stuff. I was working. Yeah, about that. What's going on, people? All right, I was busy. I was working on stuff. I was in the lab trying to make some things happen, so I apologize. Please forgive me. Everybody, hey, I'm Uncle Dallas or William Dallas or Pastor Dallas, whatever you want to call me. Today, we're going to get into some stuff. I really want to talk about one little particular passage. So all of you that are here, that are listening to me. Yes, I have my water here. All of you that are listening to me today, we're going to talk about a very interesting passage. And I always deal with the he's not holding it against you thing. But I want to take this a step further if I can find. And I cannot, so I'm going to stop looking. That's it. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah. So this is live, guys. I am live. All of this stuff is live. This is not recorded. And so, I'm on now. Everybody's sending me messages to make sure I'm on live. I'm on. I'm here. Right. Here I am. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. So we're going to talk about some things that kind of put us in a position. I want you to understand what we're dealing with right now. We got to do it. We have to do the intro. But we can't do this thing without an intro. We got to do an intro. Hi guys, I'm Uncle Dallas. Today we're going to talk about placing you in the garden. I like that? Placing you in the garden. All right. It's me. It's me today. Hallelujah. It's me. One of the things I taught a class on how God misses you and when he misses you and why he misses you. But I want to take that a step further because in a lot of cases, when I start talking about that, you kind of think about God from a different standpoint. So I want to take you to a mindset, and this mindset, I need you to kind of follow me. I'm going to talk, but I'm going to teach a little bit more because if you are in a relationship, got out of a relationship, been a part of a relationship, and this love thing kind of evades you. You kind of wonder, what is this love thing? How do I love? How do I show love? And I want to show you something because I'm going to show you the positions of the man and the positions of the woman. I'm going to show you in how they move in this particular area. So those of you that have a Bible, go to your Genesis and you see where this whole thing, if you really want to get the fiber of heaven, if you really want to get the whole mentality of what life is supposed to look like, I need you to read Genesis 1, 2, and the first part of 3. Because all this stuff that we're looking at right now, this whole structure is a return to a heavenly minded thing. And there was a lot of revelation in here. There's a lot of understanding in here. But I just want to talk, if I can talk today. I just want to talk. So, we as human beings deal with a number of different things. The first one that is attacked against you, and this is how the battle has been against you, and this is what the attack is. The first attack against you is the attack of your mind. Now, why are we attacking the mind? You attack the mind for a number of reasons. Because it's the heart system. Now, hear me now. It's the heart system of the spiritual system. If you stop my heart, you stop communication to all the different things. So the heart, which is the being, the center of my being, which is the epicenter of my life, is my heart. The epicenter of your spirit is your mind. Why? Because what the signals that come from your body and the signals that come from the spirit all resonate in the mind. Now, there's discussions about different parts of the body that have the capabilities to interpret information like every other part of the body, and I understand that. But in this situation, I want you to understand that the heart is the center of man, and the brain is the center of the spirit. So if you understand these two things, you protect those two things with everything that's in you. So the attack on you is the attack on the mind. Now, why is the mind attacked? The mind is attacked for a number of reasons. The mind is attacked for this. For those of you that are on Instagram, join me on YouTube, youtube.com. Yeah, join us on youtube.com for those of you that are on Instagram. Yeah. Join us on youtube.com/higher talk. Okay? There we go. Okay. That link down there. That way you can see everything that's going on, because Instagram will cut me off. They've done it a number of times. Thank you. So the mind is the attack. So the mind is the thing. This is why that you see the passage that says, so as man thinketh, so is he. There is such a creative force behind the mind that it is amazing. But here is what the challenge becomes. In the attack of this mind thing, what they're doing to you is isolating the mind away from the spirit. Why are they isolating the mind away from the spirit? They're isolating the mind away from the spirit because if we isolate the mind away from the spirit, then we siphon the power that makes the mind potent. We'll just say potent. That makes the mind effective, that makes the mind powerful. So what happens is everything around you is attacking the integrity of your mind. Everything. Now, if that is the case, that means that where you are right now is two positions. You're either in the battle of the mind or you're yielded to what's going on. Here's what happened. Let's take this from all the way out. Let's take this from down all the way up. Okay? So here, let's go down. Down. First of all, starting in your basic thing. As a child, you have to be inundated in school, elementary school. Now, here's where we have the challenge. There is no other educational source for our kids because we have yielded that over to the government because we said the government. So at the basis of the kid, your foundation of who you are is defined by what they put into your mind. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, X, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now, the song itself does something to your mind. So as that, then you go into a childhood, you go into the same thing. Your corporate system is set according to being a child. You go to bed, you get up at 8, you do your work in school, then you leave, you have recess when they say you can have recess, and then you go home. All those things happen there. So all of these things are conditioning your mind. Now the problem that happens is it's not only conditioning your mind, it's also creating opportunities for your mind. But what happens is if we block the access to the spirit, years ago they used to allow you to pray in school. Now we can't have that because that makes you powerful. So let's get out of that, and then we talk about relationships. So a relationship is a man and a wife, and they have children, and then they had to inundate you with how you're supposed to have this relationship. She's supposed to get a diamond ring. It's supposed to be 3 times his salary. Then he's supposed to buy her a house. Then he's supposed to buy her a car. Now, what happens is everything then is inundated around all those things. Now, where am I going with this? Each of those things kept you out. So now church came up. Now, instead of church or organized religion getting to a point where we say, let's cut people free, we said, let's benefit from the inundation that was already there. Let's benefit from that. So those that are in power, white or black, came and said, how do we benefit from an inundation of what's taking place? Now, some of them did it purposely, and some of them did it unknowingly. Why? Because the way you were taught to learn was through repetition. And because you were taught to learn through repetition, you in turn thought that if I said something enough times, it would in turn become a part of my memory. But what you did not understand is because you said things a certain amount of time, it became established in your heart and it became a part of your nature and your culture. Okay? All of that being said. So, you're right now battling something. But here's the thing that's great about you. Here's the wonderful thing about you. You have taken lemons and made lemonade. So some of you have operated in higher levels of success. Here's where we're going with this. You ready? So now we bring you to the spirit. Okay? Now you go to church. You find this thing called God. You're taught this thing about God because what it has to do is keep you in a position where you are controlled. So what religion does is creates an opportunity for you to access God. But it doesn't create an opportunity for you to be with God. It gives you access. So you have a window to God. You don't have access to God. Or we teach you about access, but we don't teach you about how to get in there. So what's happening right now is most of you, and this is why we're here, Most of you are already attached to this access, but don't want to really deal with God. Why? Because you've had all these years of inundation that have enslaved you to the mindset and the thought processes that were not yours in the first place. So now you have fear. They inundate you so much with fear, they can access it like a secret button they push in your life. So they had to give you a boogeyman so that anytime they needed something, they would push that boogeyman button. And when the boogeyman button was pushed, then you would respond exactly the way they wanted you to respond. They had to give you a financial boogeyman. So, oh, wait a minute, you got to make some money. You got to make more money. You got to make more money. And then we look in the Bible and it says, hey, the love of money is the root of all evil. And then so we go, wait a minute, that a wealthy man, a rich man can't enter into the kingdom of heaven. So now you're controlled with money. Then we throw Boaz at you. Everybody needs to find their Boaz. You need to find your Boaz. Then we tell you about finding your Boaz. The only way to find your Boaz is you can't look for a man. A man has to find you. He that finds a wife finds a good thing. So what we do is we inundate you with the ability to say, you as a woman sit there, do absolutely positively nothing, and take what we do to you. It's a part of conditioning. You've been conditioned to take whatever man does to you. So in the initial stages, what happened is the opportunity for you to get into a situation, you go, well, I'm supposed to sit here and wait for him to find me. But in everything about a virtuous woman, she was in the marketplace. She was in the marketplace. So all these inundations come to you, and then you get to this situation where you're standing right here and go, I want to serve God. I want to love God. And you have been taught that God, it's a terrible hand to be in this terrible thing to be in the hands of an angry God. So you think God is angry. He never was angry. God was never angry. So what we do is we create something called, now this is going to be something you guys are going to really love now. We create something called the full gospel denomination. And so what we do is we take denominations and we merge them together in the hopes that we would offer to you something that gives you the flexibility and the freedom to serve God, which was not what it was. It was an opportunity for everybody to get a bishop, everybody to have a position, everybody to wear a collar, and for everybody to be seen so they can sit on stage, so we can have these great conferences together and we can do all type of debauchery behind the doors so that we can in turn come back to you and tell you what way we want to urge the people to move, because we don't want you to have freedom. So those of you right now that have had relationships do not know that every relationship that you've had from this point, from the high school all the way to now, has actually been controlled. You've actually been controlled. Some of you have attached to men that were good looking, and because they had all the attributes that you were taught were good men attributes, you then connected to them, and they were either idiots, they were narcissists, they were good men, they were something, but you have never been in a relationship where you were free to have a relationship. You were just calculating what was already in your mind. So now the attempt to find a husband or to find a wife is very difficult, because you still look at these categories. I'll use my book here. Let me show you what my wife made. Look what she made, y'all. Yeah, she made this. So I look at these categories here. So you're now looking through the book to figure out what the categories are in order to get married. So you go, he has to be handsome. He has to have a good job. He has to have a house. He has to have no kids. He has to have that. And the funny thing is that when they've set these calculated conditions up, by the time you realize that, you find very few men that are in those categories. So what happens is you find yourself by yourself, which was the idea of what was going on. That was the whole idea. It was to keep you isolated from the power. Churches have done it for years. Religion has done it for years. Christianity has done it for years. But here's what's the crazy part. The crazy part of that is all of that was allowed and orchestrated by God. See, when you see Romans 8th chapter and the 28th verse, you see a principle that was very universal, but we take it exact. We try to isolate it. So the principle was all things work together for the good to them that love God. To them that love God. To the called according to his purpose. So what you're finding now is those things that were happening, he took lemons and turned them into lemonade. Now, what does that mean? That means that you have that power. So I'm going to tell you a little fun, I'll tell a story. These are my inside glasses. The other glasses with the black, they're my outside glasses. They're the ones with the tint on them. I love God so much. Y'all, when I say that, all of a sudden something just comes over my body. It's almost like God is embracing me. When I do that, I love God so much because it almost embraces me. It's just this really interesting thing. So, in the process of that, we were going somewhere. My wife and I were going somewhere, and I one of the things I have to do, I don't have a great memory, but the Spirit of God really deals with me. So a lot of stuff that I remember, it's really my spirit remembering. And I know that's hard for a lot of you to believe. Why? Because I have so much information in there that all that information begins to move around. I have books and movies and ideas and business. My brain has the capabilities that carry a lot of information. So it's not that I forget it, I overlook it because I begin to categorize what's in my brain. So anyway, to keep that down, everything has a specific place. As junky as that place may be, that's the place. So my brain learns locations of things, even though it's not exactly where the thing is. The challenge that happens, if you catch me in the midst of me establishing that, I will lose that particular thing. Got it. So I have my glasses. These are my inside glasses. Then I have my glasses for outside because they have tint for the sun. They change. I think they're transition lenses. So in the process of it, we're going somewhere. I switch. I put my glasses down somewhere in the entire house. I have no idea. I search and search and search. I go to the closet. I go to the house. I go everywhere looking for these glasses. I'm trying to find out where these glasses are. I do not find the glasses. I said, well, Lord, I guess today doing this teaching, I will wear my dark glasses, and it's okay because the lights are tint in that whole 9 yards. As I sit up in the bed, the Lord says, go look in your closet on the shelf there on the closet, in the closet on the shelf. I came in and began to working on the stuff to prepare for this, which is why I was late. And as I began to prepare for this, the Lord says to me, go look in the closet on the shelf. I walked in the closet. The glasses were sitting right there on the shelf as if he placed them there. I had to, because what has to take place is you have to shift your source. It's not shifting your mind, it's shifting your source. We've been taught to shift our mind. It's not shifting your mind, it's purging your mind of things that don't allow you to shift the source. Your source of information is God all the way. And so what you're doing is learning how to be a part of that source. The way you learn about being a part of that source is understand that everything outside, be it good or be it bad, is established to take your mind, to control it, everything. My wife and I, my mind is connected to her. Good or bad, it's a mind thing. So if you learn how to control your mind and your emotions, you learn how to control your life. Right now, if I tell all of you to fast for the next week, you think that your body is telling you to eat. It's not your body, it's your brain. Your mind is saying it's time to eat. And so what happens is whenever your mind, remember, it's signal and response. Whenever your mind receives the signal that it's time to eat, it begins to tell your body, hey, you need to start tightening up or making things nervous or making things happen because it's time to eat. And so what happens is you think that you're having a hunger problem when you're actually having a mind problem. So what happens is, see, you have to realize the body does nothing but it duplicates what has been either taught over years, or it does what the mind tells it to do. Right now, your weight is not your weight is not a physical problem. It's a mental problem. Right now, your pain, your health is not a physical problem. It's a mental problem. So now I wanted to take you why I said to go to Genesis. And so when you understand that, I want you to go to Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and I'll read it from here. It's a very short passage. It's a very short passage, very short passage. And it's Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and the 15th verse. And it says, and the Lord took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it. I talk about this all the time. And the Lord took the man, put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Now, I want you to hear what I'm about to tell you. I want you to hear this if you don't hear anything else. Where you are, God put you in there to make it yours. The reason I say to study Genesis and Adam and all this whole thing, it tells the whole story. Genesis, the first and second chapter, tells the whole foundation, the whole foundation of what's really happening in your life. It tells what happens financially, it tells what happens spiritually. All of these things are in the book of Genesis. Now, for those of you that come to the retreat, or those of you that stream the retreat, you'll understand, because we're going to go into this. We're going to really go into this. It tells everything that's going on. The key that goes on is you don't know that God has put you in a situation that is not conducive for God to be there. This is going to help y'all. God created a garden. When he created the garden, he put the man in the garden. He said he put the man. So he put mankind. He put the man. He put Adam into the garden to dress it and to keep it. Now, dressing it means that you then go in and build the garden the way you want the garden to be built. But because Adam was connected directly to God, he was using his power to create a God-like garden that was conducive for him. So he was dressing the garden. Then when he said dress it and keep it, he gave him a third thing to do. He said, now the people that come into the garden should submit to who you are that controls the garden. We go down and I have this thing, 18, and he says, in verse 18, he says, the Lord said, and the Lord said, it's not good for man to be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. And out of the ground of the Lord, he formed the animals, the beasts of the field. So now he created a garden, then he sent him the people that fit into the garden. Most of you have to realize this. What you're doing right now, you're powerful enough not to do. Okay, I'm going to help you out. What you're doing right now, I hear people all the time say, I try not to say something, but I just can't help it. The only reason you can't help it is because you don't want to help it. My wife says something to me all the time. I told you Mrs. Dallas is just very direct. My wife says something. When she says it, it's done. My wife's not trying to be mean. That's how she thinks. When she says, did you get the apple? No, I didn't. I get the apple. She don't want to know why. If she wants to know why, she'll ask why. If she don't ask why, I didn't get the apple. Just want to know you didn't get the apple. Now, that'll seem rude to you. Well, I just want to explain. Why do you want to explain? Well, that's just who I am. Okay, that's not who you are. That's what you've been taught. You have to explain every one of your steps. But if you realize, did you get the apple? No. Okay, cool. She keeps going. But if you feel like you have to explain, I'm an explainer. All of a sudden, what you're trying to do is stop something from happening by explaining why you didn't do it instead of saying, I didn't do it. Now, it happens on the reverse time. Sometimes I go, sweetie, why didn't you do this? She goes, I forgot. And she keeps going. I want to know why you forgot. She don't really care. She just forgot it. It's not going to bring it back. It's not going to make it happen. You are now in a world where you are strong enough to grit. So he places you in the garden. Your garden is in Chattanooga. It's in Alabama. It's in Arizona. It's in Africa. It's in the garden. The challenge that you have right now, my God, I love God so much. The challenge that you have right now, you're fighting the nature of what you've been conditioned to do against the nature of who you are. The nature of your conditioning against the nature of who you are. You are an adversary. You are an ally. That's the word I was trying to think of. You are an ally of God. So anything that doesn't help you with God becomes the adversary. So guess what? Adversaries are not consistent adversaries. They can be specific adversaries. For example, if you are trying to go with us to go shark diving, for those of you that are going to go with us on our anniversary in September, if we're going shark diving and you can swim and you go, I'm not going shark diving, and the reason you're not going shark diving is because what you heard about shark diving, the adversary for you is information of what somebody has told you. Everything in that garden, Adam controlled. The sharks, he controlled. The snakes, he controlled. Everything in the garden, he controls. If you look at an interview right now about Australia, go look at interview. Australia has some of the most dangerous spiders in the world. Australia's got a monkey problem. But you would think that Australia is the most dangerous country in this world. Why? Because that's what they tell you. So if Australia is so dangerous, if Africa is so dangerous, Why are there people there? If Florida has such why are there people there? Why? Because they have learned how to live in their authority. I press you down in elementary school. I press you down in church. I press you down in all those things. But here's what they didn't understand. What they didn't understand is that you were never pressed down. You begin to calculate how to maintain a consistency on what they were trying to condition you with. And so what was happening is God was then positioning different things in your way. I watched this young lady one time, and she said this thing that blew my mind. She said, the reason that we are not extinct as a community, this community she was talking about, she said, because we learned how to run away. And I'm like, I don't get this. She said, we learned how to run away. And she said, the reason we learned how to run away, yes, God, the reason we learned, and I need y'all to hear this. This was the deepest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. She said, the reason we learned how to run away is so that we could live another day. And so I'm going coward and scared. And she said, the reason we learned to run away is so we could live another day. Here is what's interesting. Do you want to know what's really crazy about this whole thing? Want to know what's crazy about this passage, your authority, and all the things that are happening to you? Some of you have been hidden. Because if they really knew how powerful you were, they would mount an attack against you that would be almost epic. If they really knew the type of spirit you have inside of you, if they really knew the type of God that you had inside of you, they would try to take you out. Right now, many of you are walking in a place where you are wealthy. You are so wealthy that right now you can have anything you want. But God knows if he releases that wealth to you, that you will take that wealth and use it for everybody but what God told you to use it for. So what happens is he puts you in the garden. And he puts you in the garden so that you could learn the purpose of why you're here. Some of your minds go all over the place. You all over the place. I tell you every day, write this down. Why? Because I got to get your mind lined up. There are certain things that should already been taking place. I'm working on a book. I know how to work on it. And I can sit down right now and finish that whole book. But all of a sudden, distraction comes. Let's go to dinner. Let's not go to dinner. Let's do this. Let's run. Cheers, bro. All of a sudden, instead of sitting down and say, leave me alone for 3 hours, I'm going to finish this. And what happens is some of us don't understand the categories of how to do things, the most important things. You have one important thing. I'll use an example. Important thing number one, we need sizes for t-shirt. So Kendra goes in the room, she gives me the sizes for the t-shirt. What about I don't want to hear about all that other stuff. I need the sizes for the t-shirt because if we call me 2 weeks later and say, why would I have the sizes for the t-shirt? And you give me an excuse, I don't care. Kendra said we need to make copies of this. Why do we need to make copies of this? Because she don't want to. Why? Some of you are so powerful that all the things are hitting your mind at the same time. Instead of categorizing something, starting it and finish it, you're in the garden. And imagine yourself walking into a garden. You have no tools. You have nothing at all. What is the first thing you should do in the garden? You find a place to live. You find a place to live. You consider that there may be bears and things there, but you find a place to live. Once you find a place to live, then you begin to create things so you can eat. Why? See, we have been so inundated with such an abundance that we don't really take the time to accomplish what needs to be done. And so after you do that, now let's kill those things like that. Let's start there. Let's do it from the Spirit. Okay, let's do it from the Spirit. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? Okay. Let's do it from the Spirit. So the first thing that happens is you're placed in the garden. This is what actually happened to you. Y'all didn't know this, so I'm going to teach you. You know what actually happened to you? Every single solitary one of you. You were placed in the garden and you were given 3 things. You give the power of utterance, the strength of your mind, and access to God. The power of utterance, the strength of your mind, and access to God. Somebody write that down. Write it down. You better write it down. I was given three things: the power of utterance. I was given the power of utterance, the power of mind, and access to God. You were given utterance, the power of your mind, and access to God. Write it down. Write that down on your notes, because I'm going to teach you how to live your life. So, when Adam was released into the garden, when man was released into the garden, he was given utterance, the power of his mind, and access to God. When you came up, breathed, and one day woke up and realized that you were human, you realized that you were Kendra, you were William, you were D-Bone, you were Leslie, you were Jessica. When you realized that you were human, you had three powers working for your benefit. Utterance. 5 things I told you about the atmosphere of God. Utterance is one of them. Declaration. The power of your mind and the access to God. You had those 3 things. You have them right now. But the key that you had is you don't understand. Those are the 3 most powerful things on this planet. Those 3 things can change everything about you. What you say, how you think, and who told you. So the first thing you have, you're now in the woods. I might want to preach, y'all. I might have to go get my towel and preach. You were in the woods. So, I told you I'm going to get, babe. I'm finna preach. I got my towel. Can I preach? Okay. I'm gonna preach. I'm gonna preach this. I felt like I was preaching this. So what happened is, man was placed in the garden, and so when he walked into the garden, he couldn't. When he walked into this particular woods, this garden area, he saw nothing. And so what he saw was absolutely void. He began to remember that in the beginning of Genesis, God looked around and said, what do you do when it's void? When there's nothing going on? He said, say something. So Adam began to say something. Adam began to say, I need some place to live. A house showed up. He said, I need something to eat. Food showed up. He began to speak in the direction that he was supposed to go. So Adam began to remember what's the second thing that he did. He sent his spirit out. And when he sent his spirit out, his spirit discerned what was necessary to get him to where he was supposed to be. So he said, let my mind go into an area that I begin to imagine where I can be in the spirit. So his mind went forth. Then the third thing he said, I remember sometimes he said, the Lord God. So that meant there was somebody with him. So God said, I'm going to do this. And the Lord God. Wow. Adam said, wait a minute. Maybe I need to access God right here in this position. Then we go down to the next verse and he said, God said it's not good for man to be alone, because he came in and helped Adam get to the position he needed to be. So what are you talking about in your garden? What is the power of your utterance? You can say what you need to say to get you into where you need to be, but you have to say it long enough. And you have to put power behind that word that accesses your mind. And your mind has to access the point that it accesses God. So what happens is you see something and you begin to say it. You may not feel it, you may not understand it, but you begin to say it. We will be worth 10 million. I don't see it, I don't understand it, but we will be worth 10 million. I don't know why, but we're going to be worth 10 million. See, what happened is Adam had to see stuff that wasn't there before it was there. He placed you in the garden. See, you have succumbed to the garden. You've let the garden control you. You've let people tell you how the garden's supposed to be run. You've done everything to let the garden be the garden. And instead of going, wait a minute, this is my garden. This house belongs to Kendra Dallas. It does not belong to William Dallas. William Dallas is just a person that's kind of hanging out. Why? Because when Kendra Dallas got to this house, Kendra Dallas began to be Kendra Dallas. She was no longer Kendra Owens hanging out with Kendra Dallas. She was Kendra Dallas. Why? Because the domain then became hers. We got 5.7 million cleaning products in there. We got little things, little drawers, little dinky towels. We got little birds. We got all kind of stuff in here that I walk in the kitchen and go, wait a minute, is this my kitchen or is this somebody else's kitchen? Why? Because she got into the garden, she dressed it, and she kept it the way she would be comfortable in the garden. So much to the point that she said, can I change the floors in here? Can I get the paint a different color? Can I get this wall moved over here? Can I make this an open concept? Why? Because when you go to a place that God has placed you in, you have the power of utterance first. Start talking about what you want to see God do. Stop talking about what people have allowed you to happen. Stop talking about what folks said you can have, and start saying, wait, baby, you all over here, and you're in uncharted territory. This ain't your world. This is my world. This ain't your garden. This is my garden. I had a young lady call me. She said, my daughter is having a problem with me. I think I'm sorry. I said, is your daughter grown? She said, yes. I said, then the problem your daughter has is, it looks like to me, it qualifies as something personal. It's a personal problem. People that don't like you, people that don't understand you, people that don't see you, it becomes a personal problem. I am very blessed that those people that are coming to the retreat, those people that are streaming retreat, I have a great bunch of people around me. You guys are amazing. Every time there's something that comes up that needed within somebody in the family, we go, hey, we need this, and people give, and they give, and they give. And we're moving all of our money to that. People help, they call, because we have a great bunch of people. But baby, let me help you out. There are people around you trying to take your mind, trying to tell you to think like they think. I don't care if they're Catholic, Baptist, Presbyterian, Hebrew Israelites. Anybody that tries to live behind a title and cause their identity to be connected to a title, they are not your ally, sweetheart, because you're spiritual. You are not Baptist. You are not Catholic. You are not Jewish. You're not Protestant. You are spiritual. Now, you can follow those beliefs to help you to get to a certain place and to learn certain things, but they are not who you are. You're not black. You're not white. You're not almost black trying to be black. You're not white trying to be a man. You're not a man trying to be a woman. You are spiritual. Stop getting caught up in all these subcategories that are trying to tell you who you are. Tattoos don't make you who you are. Piercings don't make you who you are. A haircut, lack of haircut, weave, fingernails, putting on a chest, putting on a man weave does not make you who you are. The person that was placed in that garden was you, and you're spiritual. The fat you wasn't placed in there. The skinny you wasn't placed in there. The tall you wasn't placed in there. The spiritual you. The most powerful being on this planet is you. And you are now in a place where you know the power that you use. Begin to say it. Watch all the things you speak against and you don't even know it. Girl, my head hurts. Wait a minute. I'm healed. They told me I had diabetes. Wait a minute. I'm healed. I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I ain't got no money. See, if you realize how much you have uttered yourself into the situation that you're in, you're standing in the garden going, I'm scared. You're so busy dealing with the things that don't make you who you are that when it comes to somebody telling you what makes you who you are, you deny it. Because from school time to this time, they were after your mind. So man was placed in the garden. When man was placed in the garden, here's what happened. Man was placed in the garden so that he could get his mind right. Man was placed in the garden so that he can understand his authority. Man was placed in the garden so you could feel the presence of God and operate under that covering, under the wings of the Almighty. Why are you where you are? I looked all over the house for my glasses, everywhere. So one of two things happened. I either didn't look in the place where I eventually found them, or I did look and God took them from wherever they were and placed them where I found them. See, the difference of which way he did that is the person that believes in miraculous and believes in logical. See, the miraculous people say he probably moved them and put them there. The logical people say you probably overlooked them. Because this is my garden. And my job is to make sure the garden is protected and conducive for God to operate. Since we got here, every day, and I tell y'all about this atmosphere, I try to tell you, every day since we got here, my wife plays gospel music in this house. We don't hear any other music. We hear gospel music. If you come in our house, in the background, she leaves it on Pandora or whatever TV. So it sets an atmosphere. People come in here to go, oh my God, it's so peaceful in here. It's not peaceful because we make it peaceful. It's peaceful because we created our garden in a way that's conducive for God to be here. So that means that he'll wake me up and say, hey, go look in the closet and your glasses are on the shelf. And I don't even have to go look at that moment because I know they're there. So I came in and I was doing some work and I finally walked in there. What is your garden conducive of? But your garden conducive of those three things: the power of your mind, the power of your utterance, the power of your mind, and the access to God. Now, that's your utterance. Start saying what you want. If you got to write down a list and go through your list. Did I show you this? I show you my wife made this. Okay. If you go down through your list instead of going, okay, here's my list. List number 1, we never run out of money. List number 2, we live in healing. List number 3, we're going to travel all over the world and God's going to take care of us. List number 4, I'm going to be able to do something for the world, and begin to say those things on a consistent basis. Say them every time. Say them over and over again. Say them, say them, say them, say them. Why? Because you have to get the saying out of it. Why? Because what happens in your life, you have to realize your mind listens and responds. It responds to 2 different things. Let me help you out. It responds to utterance, and it responds to the signals that come from the utterance. So it responds to the utterance. You keep saying, we're going to be wealthy. You'll begin to move toward wealth. You'll begin to see things that are wealthy. The second one is a signal. You hit your foot, your mind sends something to your foot. You hit your arm, it begins to establish the borders of your mind. When you hit your foot, your mind reminds you that there's a dresser right there. When you hit your arm, your mind reminds you, watch out for that wall. It's calculating all the stuff to make sure the garden is conducive and safe for you, because your mind wants you to be safe. That's what fight or flight is all about. What are you saying? From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What are you saying? So as a man thinketh, so is he. What are you saying? There's no good thing in your flesh. What are you saying? What are you saying to God every day? What are you saying? Every day. Not when you're tired. Every day. Not when you feel like it. Every day. Because what you're going to look at is, if you had said it a week ago, by now it would be changed. If you'd have said it when someone first heard it, by now it would be changed. Start changing your narrative. So your mind. That means your mind is waiting for direction. It's waiting for something to empower it. It's waiting for the power of it. So your mind is going, I'm waiting for where the power is. So begin to tell me where the power is. You said the power is in the fact that you need to find ways for us to make millions of dollars. You need to find ways for us to have a peaceful life. You need to find ways for us to access greater things. You need to find ways. That's what your mind is doing. Your mind is waiting for instructions. Your mind is waiting for instructions. It's waiting for instructions. What are you saying to it? You get a pain in your side. When you get a pain in your side, your mind is going, what is that? Now, if you don't tell your mind what it is, it's going to go through every television show you've seen, every video you've seen, every situation you've been a part of, to start to calculate in milliseconds all the things it could possibly be. And it's going to narrow in on the one that it looks like the most. If you say nothing, it's going to come up with a category. If you say nothing, it's going to invite other spirits in to address it. If you say nothing, it says to you, you don't have anything to say. You have not accessed anything, so I'm going to give you something to say. The first time we went scuba diving, my wife and I, when we went down, I always tell the story like this. I said, when I went down, I never realized underwater how many movies you could remember. I said, I remember Jaws. I remember Jaws 1, 2, and 3. I remember Piranha. I remember Meg. When you get in that circumstance and you don't bring anything to your mind, fear brings things to your mind. Start telling your mind the direction and stop letting your mind go in a direction, because your mind is powerful. It is a CPU that beats any CPU. Scientists right now are trying to tap into the fact that you carry more megabytes of information than anything they can come up with. And your head doesn't have to get bigger with more information. Your brain begins to hold. That means one neuron can hold as much as your computer. So that means that they can't figure it out. That means that your brain can now can take in information at a level that you probably didn't even know. But you don't know that because you've been conditioned to believe that you're dumb. You're only using 10% of your brain. That was a lie they gave you so that you can feel like there were people that were smart and there were people that were dumb. But when you realize you use 185 to 95% of your brain power every day, it meant you were just like everybody else. That means you're just as smart as Uncle Dallas. You're just as smart as Einstein. You're just as smart as whoever you categorize as smart. So your mind has that capability. I told you the other day, if I throw this ball at you, if I just right now throw the ball at you, the moment your eyes make contact with the ball, your mind begins to tell you either to move in a direction or not. If you concentrate and brace yourself, your mind will be able to look at that ball by the velocity and tell how fast it's coming and tell you how to catch it. It will move at a certain situation and tell you what to do to move out of the way. Your mind does all of that in a split second. So a person that plays baseball takes the ball, he learns the circumference of the ball. He learns the weight of the ball. He learns the curvature of the ball. He learns how to turn it in the air to make it move in different directions. And he does that with his mind. He doesn't do that with a meter. Let me measure. Okay, let me measure. He takes the certain things that are in there and he measures it. Some of them know math, some of them don't. Basketball players are able to take a ball from here, throw it to here, and it goes through a hole that's big. You have that capabilities. Every morning, you get up, and when you get up, you do advanced math equations every day. Somebody calls you and says, hey, I need some money. How much you need? You need $35. Some of you will do the math in your head quickly. I'm good with that. There's some of you, I ask you for an idea, you come up with an idea. Jessica comes up with amazing ideas because Jessica's creative. I give stuff to Leslie. Leslie pops out. See, you have these things happening in your brain. So your brain, which is the second most powerful, but you need juice, baby. You need some brain juice. Brain juice is the spirit. Start telling your life what it's going to be. Start telling your garden what it's going to look like. Today, don't stop. Don't give in. Why? Because it's going to come a moment where it's going to be dark. The same thing when you're losing weight. There's a come a moment you get down 20 pounds, and that 24th pound, that 19th pound is so hard because you have to push past. You've gotten past your habits, you've gotten past your situations, you've gotten past your fears, but that one thing in the back of your mind is stopping you from moving forward. You got to push past it. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. I will not be in this financial situation because I'm wealthy. I will see my wealth. I will live in my wealth. I will not be in this situation because I'm wealthy. I will see my wealth. I will attain my wealth. I'm not going to stay in this situation. I am wealthy. I will see my wealth and I will attain my wealth. I'm not going to stay in this situation. I will see my wealth because I'm wealthy. I will see my wealth and I will attain it. Battery exhausted. 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 Babe. Yep, the battery just went dead. Battery exhausted, battery exhausted, battery exhausted, battery exhausted. 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 Hey guys, how y'all doing? The battery went dead. The battery went dead. The battery went dead. Sorry guys. The battery went dead. The battery went dead. It went dead, y'all. It went dead. The battery went dead. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I got to adjust this camera. Everybody, the battery went dead. It was crazy. The battery went dead. I'm back. But I got to sit because that camera's dead. I don't want to change the whole camera out. There we go. The battery went dead. Okay. All right. So, anyway, we got about 7 minutes anyway. So, you got to realize that as you begin to learn this thing and as you begin to move in these areas, we got to go back to the garden. So let's look at the garden for what it is. So now we put Adam into a place. Now you have to realize that man had never seen a garden before other than what he saw in the spirit. So when he began to operate on this level, he had to do certain things to make it happen. So get your mind right. Get your mind in the place it needs to be. Begin to speak to your mind. I'm wealthy. I'm wealthy. See, let me explain something to you. Wealthy is influence. Wealthy is not money. Wealthy is influence. Money helps wealth, but wealthy is influence. So you are wealthy right now. You're moving from wealth, you're moving from riches to wealth. So every person that has money, you are rich. You're rich. You have the potential of being rich. Why? Because all you have to do is take your money and make your money grow. The key to a difference in the wealthy and the rich work for money, the wealthy make their money work. The rich work for money, the wealthy make their money work. Okay, so in your mind, you have to begin to say where you want to be, not where you've been, not the way it looks. You got to say where you want to be, because that's the last thing. And the last part of that is your access to God. Every day you have to create an utterance. Every day you have to create an opportunity. Every day. And that opportunity and that utterance creates an environment. And that environment creates a direction. And that direction takes you to your promise. It takes you to your promise. Ladies, start with ladies. Ladies, create your garden that's conducive enough for God, and to God send somebody that represents him to it. Brothers, create your garden in such a way that the person that comes into the garden will follow you through the garden. Create your garden in such a way, brothers, that someone that comes in the garden will follow you through the garden. Ladies, make your garden conducive so that the direction of God will come through the person that's in your garden, in your life, in your environment. Your level of power is amazing. When you begin to read other things, as you keep studying in the spirit, God's going to start opening up other things to you. When he opens these other things up to you, then you're able to access at a different level. Everybody say, we don't need to see you to receive this message. Thank you. Y'all so sweet. Y'all so wonderful to me. Y'all so wonderful to me. That's my job. My job is to make sure that you get it. My job is to make sure you get it. My wife made these, y'all. I'm so proud of her. She made these. Yep, she made it. And I was so proud of her. She brought it in the other day. She made one. Y'all want one of those? Everybody want one? How many want to? How many people want one of those? I think I'm gonna get her to sell them. It's a folder. It's a folder with notepads in it. Yeah, business card. It's brand new. It's brand new. She went and got it for me and made it for me. She made it for me. She's so sweet. My wife is so amazing. She's so amazing. Okay, that's it, guys. That was all. That was all. That was all. That was it. Now, let me say this for those of you that are watching, and if you're not coming to the retreat, you're streaming the retreat. Now, here's what I need everybody to understand. Okay, for those of you that are streaming the retreat, hear me very closely. If you're streaming the retreat, I'm going to take this off this video so it won't matter. If you're streaming the retreat, there are two ways you can pay for the streaming retreat. Number one, if you want all the things, that means you want the booklet, the program, you want a copy of the videos, you want to be in all the classes. That's one price. That's the $99. But if you just want the video, you just want to watch. That's all you want to do. You want to watch. You don't want the notes. You don't want anything else. Anything else. Nothing else. It's $50. Nothing else. You just want to be there for the 3 days. You don't want the notes. You don't want the booklets. You don't want the prize. You don't want the t-shirt. You don't want any of the other stuff. It's $50. Just make it easy, even $50. And so that will be the 3 days. And that's all you get. You'll get the access code. You can get that. We're not going to mail you anything and all that kind of stuff. But people that have already paid, you're getting the videos. You're getting everything that we do. You're going to get a copy of it. You're going to get the t-shirt, the program, all those things that we do, you're going to get a copy of it. You know what? I'm going to tell y'all something about somebody. I normally don't say anything about somebody, but I'm going to say this about this particular person. As a matter of fact, she's going to do something for us there. Then I'm not going to do that yet. I'm not going to do it because I got a surprise for everybody that's coming. The Saturday morning, I got a surprise for y'all. I got a big surprise for y'all. So I was going to say something to her because I have one person, and when I get to the retreat, I'll tell you, one person every day sends something. Every day they send something. Because that's their consistency of coming out. Every day do something towards your promise. Every day. She's moving because of her finances. You want to move toward her husband. You want to do something every day. Consistently, every day, do something. Push yourself. Pray every day. Worship every day. Praise every day. Give every day. Write a page of your book every day. Every day. Every day. I'm gonna show y'all something. Let me show you something. I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna go as soon as I show y'all. I think it's this. It is this. I'm gonna show y'all something right here. Okay. I'm working on my next book. This is what it looks like. Let's do it the other way. This is what it looks like. This is what it's called. Right now I'm working on this book. Let's give it a little. This is what it's called. I've already done this. That's the next book I'm working on. Right now, I'm working on that right this second. I'm working on that right this minute. Why? Because every day I'm doing something toward my promise. Every day. I'm telling you to do it, I'm doing the same thing. Every day I do something toward my promise. Do something every day toward your promise. If your promise is God is going to bless you financially, give every day. It does not matter how much you give. It doesn't matter if you give 1,000. If I give something every day, or at least give something on a consistent basis, give every week. If you're waiting if you feel like God is about to bring you out, you want a new house, look at the new house, break down the new house, do everyday research. Every day do research. Every day do research. If you're looking for a husband, every day do some research. Pray about yourself. God, show me myself. You're praying for wife. God, show me my wife. Every day do research. Move in that direction every day. And I promise you, by the end of the month, you'll see change if you do it every day. Every single solitary day. That particular person, every day they give something. Every day. Lawrence, I don't sleep. I don't sleep. I don't sleep. I don't. I go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I get up and I come back. I get up and do this every day. I don't sleep. Yeah, I don't sleep. That's why I go on vacation. That's why I'm trying to take Mrs. Dallas. Now, everybody wants to help me take Mrs. Dallas to Jamaica. So let me know. But that's why I'm trying to take Mrs. Dallas to Jamaica, so I can do nothing for 5 days. Nothing. Of course, I'll be doing something. I'll be out there probably video talking to y'all. Whatever. So anyway, does anybody? Is that Becca? Hey, Becca. So I gotta go, guys. Now, I know Leslie said he doesn't sleep. This is it, guys. I gotta go. I'm gonna go ahead and let this go. You want to ask some questions? Meet me on TikTok and Instagram, TikTok, and we'll answer some of your questions. I appreciate you. I love you guys so much. You have no idea how much I love you guys and how wonderful I think you guys are. So if you want to ask some questions of those, take this notes, listen to them over and over again. Remember the 3 things I told you: your utterance, your mind, and your access to God. Remember that you're in a garden, and you are there to create that garden the way you're supposed to be. Angela says she's preparing to come here. You know how that garden is supposed to be. All right. I love you guys. Again, those of you that are new, make sure you like and follow and subscribe. Stay with us. Be a part of the family. We are a great bunch of people. We love God, and God loves us, and we love you. So be a part of it. So I appreciate you. I thank God for you. I thank God for everything that's happened. My name is William Dallas, or Pastor Dallas is the Higher Standards Organization. And what happened, guys? You've just been taken to a higher standard. Peace.